How's it going, USC football fans? Welcome back to another episode of Coliseum Chronicles Live. Casey Casliner joined alongside Terrence Holton as the season is officially underway this month. It is now August 1st, meaning the Trojans will kick off against Missouri State in 29 days. And I think everyone's very excited right now. The season feels like it's just around the corner. You know, camp has started. USC Football Media Day, which Terrence was at, was just a few days ago. It is getting real right now. And I think it's an interesting time for USC football across the board. But Terrence, how you doing today? What's new with you?
What's new with me, Casey? Not much. As you mentioned, I was at USC Media Day on Monday with my internship for NBC Los Angeles. Super fun time. I'm going to get into some of the stuff I heard, maybe some takeaways, just a few. There's not that much going on. You're not going to learn that much from that stuff, but do have a couple takeaways of just maybe some things to look out for the year. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, do you want to just tell those things?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I spent a while speaking to a decent amount of players, Anthony Lucas, Prince Strawn, but Eli Sanders was the one that I talked to for a while. I'm really interested in that running back group and really how they're going to work together. My biggest takeaway from talking to him, I think it's going to be a very solid group who works well together. He talked just about how close together they all are. Brian Jackson, him, Waymon Jordan, they all help each other out with everything, whether it's personal, whether it's school, whether it's on the football field. They are all very close in that matter. So I think that's one, very great for team chemistry. Obviously, you're bringing two new guys in Jordan and Sanders, but also I just think it'll be helpful in us maybe seeing a committee type thing. In the past couple of years, we have seen, especially last year, Woody Marks clearly the lead back. Quentin Joyner obviously was getting snaps, but Woody Marks clearly the lead back. I think you could say that about, Marshawn Lloyd as well. Now I think we're going to see much more of a committee, and I think it's going to be led by Sanders, if I had to guess. There's been a lot of Waymon Jordan hype, specifically on this channel, partially from us, a lot from our viewers. Not to say that's wrong. I do think Sanders is going to get the nod, though. 1,000-yard rusher at the Division I level. Obviously, Waymon Jordan went for 1,600. Still JUCO to D1. It's different. I do think he'll be more of the lead back. That being said, as I mentioned, I think it's going to be a committee for the running back group.
It's such a well-rounded group. You have a JUCO Heisman equivalent, at that point with Jordan. You have kind of a young veteran, I'll say, with Brian Jackson. And I think with Sanders, like you said, he's a guy that has the experience more so than the other two running backs and will probably take that lead. Again, I don't really know what the snaps will look like, but I think like in the age of the transfer portal, having a lot of different options across the board is way better than, like you said, what USC has had recently, even though the running backs the past few years have been very good.
Mm-hmm. Great question, Andrew. I'm leaning probably Waymon. I think that they're going to not ease him in, but I think that just because he is coming from a lower level of football, they're going to start him out as punt returner, see that elusiveness that we saw at the JUCO level, of course, and I think he'll probably start as the punt returner. Casey, what do you think? Unless it's maybe a wide receiver.
Yeah, selfishly, I loved Mekhi Lemon at returner, but again, if he's going to be playing at a much higher rate than he did last year, which sounds like he obviously will, I think maybe even a cornerback or like some speedy player we don't know about could step up in camp. But yeah, I mean, I think between the two, what's that?
That's a new Kinds type player.
Yeah, to new Kinds. I mean, I'd probably lean Jordan as well, but I think it's a toss up. I think that's something USC wants to do because I think I remember seeing a stat that they had one of the worst starting field positions in the entire country last year.
Really?
Yeah, defensively and offensively.
Wow.
So I think that's something that's really important when receiving punts. But yeah, I mean, USC Football Media Day, nothing crazy. I did listen to, and I will be at practice more frequently during the year, but I did listen to Lincoln Riley's press conference yesterday after practice, early practice, started like 7 a.m. And he talked about, Jacoby Lane being a bit limited right now. That's just, I mean, it's nothing to worry about. It's probably just, keeping him under control from a, energy standpoint in camp and practice. So few guys are limited right now. We're not going to get many storylines about them right now. But it's just something to think about as, the season kicks off in 29 days.
It's going to be great. And yeah, Tanu Kynes, hyped about him. We want to see him get some snaps this year. Could be the future USC, the wide receiver position. Well, we'll see. I'm excited. But Casey, just kind of going off that, Missouri State, Georgia Southern, obviously those are the two easy games. But USC plays football this month. I can't wait.
I can't either. I think this is a type of schedule that is way more appetizing if you're USC than maybe last year. It's your second year in the Big Ten. You have a year under your belt. There's a few tough games, but like you said, after Missouri State, Georgia Southern, you have Purdue, Michigan State, which I'm not going to say are necessarily free wins. It's Big Ten football. And, one of those games is on the road, but those feel like very winnable games for USC. Then you go to Illinois, and that's your first big test. But since we're, 29 days out from the start of the year, I want to ask you, like we've done full picture schedule breakdowns. I think those first 5-6 weeks, week 6 being Michigan, are a big litmus test for USC because they don't really have like that many tough opponents. You don't have like Oregon or Notre Dame yet, is what I'm getting at, but you have Illinois. What's USC's record through those first 6, and how does that affect the confidence, in the second half of the season?
Here, let me pull up the schedule real quick just so I can share my screen. Let me see, because I know it obviously, but I'd say probably after the first 6, you said?
Yeah, just first half of the year.
5. I hesitate to say 5-1 here. I'm sharing my screen here. Sorry. I hesitate to say 5-1, but I think I'm going to. I'm going to say 5-1 with a loss to Illinois.
Okay, and then again, how do you think that sort of? Because the reason why I asked that, it seems like a sort of specific question. Is we've seen USC these past 2 years that I've been there and beyond, go 4-2, go 5-1, go 6-0 the first 6 games, and then the second half of the season is a complete struggle. Yeah. Do you think they're going to be able to sustain it with a tough second half schedule? You have Michigan. I guess that's the first half, but you have Notre Dame. You have Nebraska on the road isn't a free win necessarily. You have Oregon on the road. How does that affect the confidence going forward? Do you think they'll be able to sustain that?
Yeah, it's a good question because it's it is shades of that 2023 where they started off 6-0 and then they just had that brutal schedule. Utah, Notre Dame, Oregon, Washington, all of those teams. So it is shades of that. I don't think it's as difficult as that though. I don't think it's nowhere near as difficult to say the least.
Yeah, how good the Pac-12 was that year too.
Yeah, both Oregon and Washington, one of those teams was going to be in the playoff, obviously. I would say this is bad podcasting by me. I'm leaving silences, but I'm thinking, what do you think? Here, I'll let you answer this first. What do you think? And then I'll go.
Yeah, I like the 5-1 take. I think one of those losses through the first 6 weeks is either Illinois or Michigan, which it's probably, between the two, it's probably Illinois. You have Michigan at home. It's a brand new quarterback. You're not really, expecting a whole lot, I guess. Maybe you are. I think second half, it's tough again. I'm just going to throw a number out. I'll say 4-2. So a 9-3 record overall. Losses to Notre Dame and Oregon. But you look at that, even that second half of the schedule, like opponent-wise, not that hard. UCLA, Iowa, Northwestern feel like very winnable games.
Yeah, Nebraska is going to be difficult, and Oregon obviously is going to be really hard.
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
4-2, I like that actually.
Yeah, I think
comments
for sure. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it.
I was just going to say, I mean, Nebraska is tough because it's a road game, but hopefully USC, coming off a Notre Dame, and they have a bye actually, it looks like before that,
Yeah.
October 18th. So hopefully they'll be rested, but also battle tested playing Notre Dame 2 weeks before.
Yeah. And then quickly going back, just because I just now saw his comment. Yes, Casey's going to go to all the practices. I was at the media day once he's back in Los Angeles. And I'm going to get to as many as I can, depending on my work schedule. So yes, is the short answer.
Yeah, we will be there. But yeah, I mean, I think I think that October 18th to November 1st is a very critical by period for USC. It's just it's going to be something that they're going to have to adjust to, but also like they're going to be able to go home and have a full week of practice without having to worry about anything. So I think that's great.
Yeah, but I mean, that's 2 tough road games is the thing. That's really 2 tough road games. That being said, as I said, because I do think if they lose that Illinois game, because right now I do think that Illinois was a great team last year. I think they were better than that Indiana team for sure, who made the playoff. They had a lot of close wins. They had a lot of close wins by 1 score, less than a touchdown. So, and this is my thing with Arizona State too, just looking nationally, it is really hard to replicate a team who wins like 9, 10 games, whatever it might be, but a lot of those wins are close. It's really hard to do that multiple times. That's the thing. So I just think if they can get by that, which is possible, I'm not going to say that's impossible that they're not going to win at Illinois. Then I think they could go into Notre Dame 6-0 and potentially even go into Oregon 8-1, 9-1 would it be at that point? Yeah, 9-1 at that point.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you say that because I do agree, and I think it's hard to replicate even what USC did last year because they lost so many one-score games that could have been decided by a coin flip. The Michigan game, it goes on, right? And I definitely agree. I think Illinois is the big game early on to really show that. I mean, you're playing against Luke Altmaier, who's going to play on Sundays. He's a great quarterback. Outside of that, Illinois, I don't think is a super deep team, but he's at home, he's a big quarterback to have to deal with early on in the season.
Yeah, I just think it's going to be so tough because what the one thing I forget if I've told you this or not. The one thing that has truly kept my USC fandom, like the hope going while I'm still here, is something that Joel Klatt said about USC. It was either end of last year or like middle of last year. Obviously, USC was kind of going back and forth between winning and losing, but it was all these super close games. And what he said was, you have to lose small before you win small before you win big. So maybe USC is in the stage. They lost small last year. What was their combined going into before the Notre Dame game because that ended up turning things. But before that, their like 5 losses was a combined like 16 points, was it?
Yeah, it was
ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I would say to like sort of disagree with that, even though I think I'd inclined to agree, is 2023. There were a lot of close losses too. Like the Utah game was decided by a field goal. The Washington game against a team that went to the national championship was
that does not count. That the Washington that ended up being 14.
I think it was a 10-point game.
That's not losing small in my opinion, especially because USC got like what 1 stop in that game.
I mean, again,
Alex Grinch fired. They gave 55. How much was it? I'm looking it up.
I mean, while you check on that, they also had sort of they were sort of bipolar.
It was an awesome game. One game to watch.
So it was a 2 touchdown game. I mean, that's sort of a no decision in my book. But they also had some small wins that year. I mean, they beat Cal by 1 point. So yes. I guess it was sort of a mixed bag. But I feel like they did have some close losses. Even the Notre Dame game I think that game was 2 touchdowns or 3 touchdowns. But
but it never felt that close. Notre Dame never felt so. Okay, here's the thing: the games, some of you're referencing, those, in my opinion, never felt that close. Like Notre Dame never felt close. They got the brakes beat off of them immediately. Oregon, that never felt close. It was about to be a 1-score game, if they got a 2-point conversion, it would have been a 1-score game with like 2-3 minutes left. That game never felt close. Washington, after the second quarter, I want to say, yeah, I think at about halftime, because Caleb Williams fumbled on like USC's 20, something like that. It never really felt close after that. Those 3 games against the best opponents never felt close, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think
UCLA, think about that. It was close.
I just remember that.
Yeah, they got beat by them bad.
I think the consensus is it was a bipolar season. They had some like really close games and then had some really randomly. I mean, UCLA by 18 points is insane.
Hold on, Casey. We might be getting breaking news from we are getting breaking news from our comment section. Jackson Johnson, the Alabama of college football, voice of college football host. Brady Coliseum has committed to USC, a 4-star offensive lineman. Shout out Jackson. Appreciate that. I had my phone on Do Not Disturb. I'm going to close out this tab just so we can talk about this a little bit, because this is breaking news. Jackson, shout out you. Massive addition, goes into the number 1 class for 2026, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Yes, 2026. 6'6", 315 from Littleton, Colorado. I'm just reading the headline right now. Big one. I love it. I love building the trenches as per usual.
Yeah. Coliseum he was quoted as saying he loves Zach Hanson. And I honestly think that Zach Hanson's such a good offensive line coach, such a good coach. He's young, like he can relate to the players. He's, I think, low 30s age. Like he's a guy that feels really relatable. And he also said, Coliseum said he wants to build USC up to a national championship contender under Coach Riley. So he has a lot of faith in USC right now, which I think is huge.
Yeah, this is the second offensive lineman to come from IMG too in the class of 2026. He joins his teammate Kinyi Pepe. That is incredible. I think, bringing that in instantly with the just chemistry they'll already have, I'll say, that feels pretty impressive.
It is. I mean, especially because, you're not bringing in a guy from LA. And I think that was a big question mark about these guys from a, not necessarily a chemistry standpoint, but more of like a really a will to win, will to be there standpoint. I think him coming with, his dog, his guy on the line from IMG is going to be huge. Like that's a guy that he can, if he gets homesick, those guys at least have each other, which I think it sounds kind of silly, like saying that, but I think you look at a lot of the other Georgia, Texas commits that USC got. And for the record, I'm pretty sure Coliseum's final 2 were USC and Georgia. I know he had other schools that he took official visits to, but I'm pretty sure that those were his top 2, if I'm not mistaken. So I think that's huge. And yeah, he looked at, I think.
Yeah. I mean, he had offers from Ohio State, Miami, Colorado, Oklahoma, all of these schools. Colorado, just threw them in there. Oklahoma, Ohio State, Georgia. USC beats him out again, keeps up that number 1 class.
It's huge. I mean, I think if there's been any doubt about this class, which I don't think there's been a ton of it, but I think, maybe the recruiting trail has slowed down a little bit closer to the season. I think this just, beefs it up even more.
In fairness, they do still have 31 commits. Although I am seeing now on 24/7, they have the number 2 class behind Georgia.
That's interesting. I mean,
it's by 0.4 points. And this might turn it back to the number 1 class. I don't think it's updated yet.
I'm sure it will. Yeah.
Yeah. That's frustrating. I just want that number 1 number, just want that there.
Yeah. I mean, I think the number matters because I think if 3 years down the line, if USC has had all this success, and I'm talking like 2029, they can say, we had the number 1 class in 2026. Like it's a good selling point to new recruits. I feel like we had the number 1 class. Like it just, I think it is pretty subjective, but I think it's very important from a recruiting standpoint. But I mean, we also have talked so many times before about how the offensive line at USC has been so like mixed, right? Like you have like really good guys like Voorhees, you have really good, players like Monheim, but then half your line is unsustainable. That's how it's felt like at USC. You have a good center, you have a good left tackle, but the rest of it feels kind of scattered. And it feels like now they are taking the steps to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I've definitely been frustrated with Josh Henson in the past, but that guy's recruiting. I got to give him a lot of credit. He is recruiting really well in the trenches.
Yeah, I mean, it's a coaching staff that I think has had to adjust a lot. But let's move on to another topic. So 247 recently came out with their top 30 most important Trojans for number 2025, or for 2025. And I honestly think the list is pretty interesting because ranking players based on importance is obviously a very subjective thing. You know, it's football. There's many different positions. Their number one is Eric Gentry. And there's a whole list. If you want to maybe, I can maybe share my screen as well. I think I might be able to. Yeah, I can. Let me do that really quick.
It's a new feature.
Yeah.
I'll talk about
what's your thoughts on that before I get to it?
Yeah. Eric Gentry's number one. I think that's probably correct if I had to say so. Obviously, he's missed a lot of time in various places with injury. When he is on the field, he is just phenomenal is the thing. He's one of the leaders of that defense. He's the guy stopping at here. I think I can.
Can you see it?
Yeah, there we go. He's one of the guys stopping defenses from getting past that second level. He's incredibly important. So, yeah, that's who I 100% agree that Eric Gentry is probably the number one.
Just for the record, last year's number one was Bear Alexander. So take this with a grain of salt.
Yeah, but it is also like, I understand why it's the most important. But
yeah,
he's Bear Alexander.
Yeah, I mean, I think I honestly, I don't know if I would have had Eric Gentry number one if I did this ranking, but I understand it because USC completely changed as a team when he got hurt last year. They were not the same team.
Well, who do you think would be number one?
I honestly would have put Kamari Ramsey maybe, but again, I think you can flip. I can see the argument for both because I think Kamari Ramsey has experience.
I was going to throw Jaden Mayava in there.
That's also very important. I mean, he's
right. Yeah.
Would you put him? So, do you like Elijah Page over him? Like what? Because that's also both offensive players, comparable.
Yeah, it is interesting just because obviously he'll probably be the anchor of that. No, he won't be the anchor of that offensive line, but if he can progress, I will say, then that will be incredibly important. But if he's not much better, then that's why he could be important. I still would probably have Jaden over him, though, just because I think him being better and getting away from some of his issues he had last year, like the decision making, then I think his decision making and just some of the abilities he does, I think that would be important.
DJ Wingfield notably is at number 10. We don't know if he's going to play. I think he's suing the NCAA though.
He was not at USC Media Day. He was not there. So
yeah, that's one thing to just keep our eyes on. Go down a little bit toward the bottom. Caton Chittington, I think he's limited right now. Kicker, supposed to be very good. We talked about Eli Sanders. He's 22. Waymon Jordan's way higher. So they have him likely as the starter, the number one guy. Some more guys. I mean, Anthony Lucas in there. Like everyone who we sort of expected is in there. I don't think there's really any surprises here. I will say I think Keyshawn Silver is maybe higher than I thought, but I think given the fact that USC's defensive line has improved so much, I don't hate it, honestly.
Yeah, I was thinking it could be similar to the Bear Alexander pick just because they really need someone to be that run stopper, and this should be the guy. And Keyshawn Silver was better than Bear Alexander was at Georgia, as in Silver was better at Kentucky than Bear was in Georgia. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of, right here you have, 4 in a row. Like this is really the meat and potatoes of the D line. And then obviously, Silver in there as well.
Yeah, so the entire defensive line really is who they think. And then throw it down there. Jakeem Stewart's also there. So defensive linemen on there.
I just think the depth is way better than we've seen in previous years. A guy like Strawn is 27. Not that USC needs wide receiver depth a ton is what I'm saying. But the fact that Eli Sanders is 22, some of these skill position guys being this low, I think is actually a good thing for USC. Just knowing that, they have guys like Mekhi Lemon. One other thing I wanted to ask you though, I feel like you could sort of go back and forth because obviously Lemon and Lane are the two big names, obviously, on offense. Do you like where they put them respectively?
Yeah, I think so, because I think Mekhi Lemon will be the most important offensive weapon skill position other than quarterback, obviously. So I think it's fine to put Lane just a few rows below him, just because Lane's great, Lemon's better.
Yeah, and I mean the reason why I had Kamari Ramsey maybe as my number one is if you look at the list, you go down. I mean, you don't really get to another secondary till here, and then you go again. You don't get another one till here. The depth is not quite as strong there. Also, I mean, these two guys are transfers, right? So Kamari Ramsey knows what the team is like. He's a veteran. He's been around college football for a long time. He'll probably be a top 60, 80 pick next year. So I think him being sort of the leader of the secondary is a lot more important than Eric Gentry being the leader of the linebackers, just because the depth at secondary is not as, strong, I guess, as the linebackers per se. But
yeah, I mean, just remember Kamari Ramsey was also the signal caller for the defense last year.
Yeah.
He was the one calling it out for people. So you could totally argue that he is more important than Eric Gentry just on that stance. And he, I think, played every game. So
transfer right here. I mean, yeah, there's
Nathan Johnson. Yeah.
Transfer right here. Yeah, it's a lot of transfers in the secondary. Yeah. But I mean, anything else you wanted to talk about from this? I can stop sharing my screen. How do you stop sharing your screen?
Here, I'll bring it down. Yeah, there we go.
Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's.
You were gonna say something. Yeah,
I thought you were gonna say something. Yeah, I think that list will surely change, and we could talk about it maybe by week 3. Who's made the biggest impact so far? Was there any other big picture topics you wanted to talk about this week?
Big picture, no, because we're getting right around the season. If we want to do like more prediction type stuff, but not really, because we have talked about most position groups, all that sorts of stuff. We've talked about the schedule, which we can do another schedule breakdown some other time, but we did that a while ago. Not that much has changed since April. I'm trying to think. Obviously, Adam Chase and Johnson, he's new, but not that much.
Yeah, we've pretty much talked about literally every single position, which was a grind for us, but we did it. So if you guys want to go back in the archives and hear what we have to say more in depth about the D-line, the secondary, quarterback position, we have all of that. But I honestly think I guess my big question to you, because I did ask you about we do have a question. Let's get to that. Honestly, that's a really good question, because last year they had the trucker hat, the posters, like you mentioned, no more posters. That is a sort of a cheap gimmick. I think the rally towels during I didn't get one. I was in the press box, but the rally towels during Wisconsin USC, the first Big Ten home game, I thought was pretty cool. I think they got to do giveaways for the whole stadium.
Yes. I love bobbleheads. Yes.
Oh, wait, let me this was a giveaway a long time ago at USC football. I got it from a baseball card shop here in the Bay Area, but it's a Marcus Allen USC bobblehead. And I have one from the just give away something like this. It doesn't have to be special. Just give away something or a mini helmet, something like
a generic thing, yeah.
I mean, we've talked about this so many times, right? There's so many things to do in LA. And the Dodgers give away bobbleheads every week. So competing with them is really tough.
Yeah, they're giving away a Shohei Ohtani ring on Wednesday.
Not to mention the 10 other sports teams in LA or Anaheim. And they do giveaways. And look, I think USC is a hot ticket, but I would love to see some more lost leader giveaway stuff. Give us better hats. I mean, I won't get any. I'm in the press box, shoot. But I mean, I'd love to see it.
Get it for you.
I could do that.
Heisman thing. It was funny. At USC Media Day, they had all the Heisman trophies out because it was a Heritage Hall. They had them on the tables like paperweights, massive paperweights, just all of them. It's just funny to look at the 7 Heismans because one was missing, obviously.
Yeah, it's funny because before last year, 2 out of the 8 USC Heismans were pretty controversial with OJ and Reggie Bush. But now Reggie Bush is Reggie Bush is back, so
Yeah.
not anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good question, and I think too it speaks to a bigger picture thing of like, I mean, USC basketball does giveaways, and like those do pretty well. I know the attendance there is one of the lowest in the Big Ten,
That's one
but
thing Musselman complains about. It's a
yeah,
problem just USC athletics have in general, except for the women's basketball. People really like them.
yeah, but
But
without Juju though this year, I mean,
but for still jazzy, still for good reason they get the most fans per capita. I will say.
yeah,
Um, I do think this actually does speak to a bigger issue of what is USC doing to get more fans in, and what are they doing? Because it's the thing that honestly we're always mocked about how USC never has fans. UCLA, it's a different thing. Their stadium it's the Rose Bowl. It's miles away. USC, it's right in the middle of LA, and they're still not getting a lot of fans just for regular games. Obviously, it's Los Angeles. There's so many things to do. That's the main reason. That's the main excuse. USC can be doing more, though, to get fans in, though. That's my personal opinion.
tickets are pretty expensive too, like across the board. I know for students they're $300. I think for non-students, they're for nosebleed seats about 500. I'd say 450 with tax is probably 500. So the tickets aren't cheap, and also I think the fact that, I mean, the USC doesn't own the Coliseum, I feel like there's sort of a disconnect sometimes between the campus and the Coliseum. Like when you ask the question, what are they doing to bring fans in? I thought of the Bloom facility, but I also thought, well, that's for the players.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really bring fans in. Like they're doing a lot of things right now that are going to appease players, but that'll indirectly lead to more fans coming if they start winning. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of stuff you could do from a marketing standpoint, but if you're going to compete in the Big Ten, for generations to come, you gotta figure it out.
Yeah. One little gripe I have before I go for this other comment. My freshman year, the USC season student tickets were like $220. We go 11-1. They raise them to like 300. We've been not good the last 2 years. They still have not taken down the price. So that's kind of my issue with that. You
gotta pay Lincoln Riley's contract somehow, right?
Yeah, that's how we're gonna get out of the school's debt. But Gixxer Squid, I think we need to get you on the USC marketing team because these are great ideas.
Yeah, I love me some football cards, so I think that would be.
You can see behind him, Casey is a collector of everything. Usually he has a wall of like NBA jerseys of the most random ones ever too. So Casey is a collector. So you find a guy like Casey, we'll do
a room tour at some point. If this gets 100 likes, we'll do a room tour.
Yeah, that's what the people want to see. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, no, yeah, get Gixxer Squid on the marketing team 100%. I love this stuff. Give away bobbleheads again. That's the main thing. The lines would be crazy to get in, but I think it'd be worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, I don't remember what I was asking you before. We had our little tangent, a great tangent though. Always love talking about marketing, especially at the USC football level. I will say, we talked about it when it happened. Canceling the spring game, I think, is not going to help either, because I mean, I went to you and I were in the press box of the spring game last year. There's a lot of people there who are little kids, like people that maybe don't go to every game, but they go this time because it's free. Yeah. And they can see the players up close, and it's not really a stressful thing. It's not a whole endeavor.
No.
And it creates a lot of excitement, especially for the freshman players. So I don't know. I think that canceling that, like, I understand it, but at the same time, it's like, okay, that's going to hurt.
It gets people excited about the season, about who players are going to be on the team. Like, personally, I think we were both saying it, though, in the press box. Jade Mayava looked pretty good and looked pretty exciting back in that 2023 spring game, 2024 spring game. So,
yeah, I mean, I don't even have anything to add. I think it's a good place to showcase. But if you don't have any final thoughts, I will probably close out in just a moment. If you guys have any other suggestions, questions, comments, throw those right now. We'll get to them in the final few minutes here. But I mean, honestly, I think like stepping away from the whole like on the field stuff for a moment, I think this is just a really exciting season to be a fan for USC. You have some marquee games. you have a team that is poised to make a CFP run. I'm not saying they will or won't, but they, if you have a 9-3 record, that can get you in, and that's what we're predicting. So
it's funny. I was just gonna say, there's such a difference in people. Everyone is either saying that USC is going to once again be not very good, or they're going to make a playoff run. There's no one saying that USC is going to go 8-4 or 9-3, which I kind of think so. Everyone is saying 6-6 or playoff, which that doesn't really feel correct to me. Either one. I don't think either one of those is right. But it's funny just seeing which kind of major media outlets all think that might happen, because there are a decent amount. Like Joel Klatt put USC on one of his most likely to first-time playoff this year.
Yeah, I mean, for a guy who didn't have any USC players in his top 100 draft prospects, even though USC had a top 100 pick, so I think that's definitely a big thing to hear from him. So yeah.
One clarification: his thing was top 50. That's why USC didn't have any players there.
I stand corrected then. Yeah. Well, if he did have a top 100, then Jalen Smith would have been in there. So we actually, to complete tangent. Were you at the live showing of that? Because we were.
Yeah. Yes, we were both there. Yeah.
We were both at the live showing of that podcast in LA. So that was cool to see, and we all felt very disrespected when Carson Schweschinger of UCLA was in the top 20 or something, and USC had nobody. So they're going to change that this year.
Joel made fun of us live on air.
He absolutely did. He pointed over to us and said, "I got to be a bunch of USC students in here," and they're
not surprised. There's no one that's okay, Joel.
Well, looks like we don't really have any more comments, so we'll wrap things up here. Again, thank you to everyone who connected with us in the comments. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram. Our handles are on the screen. We post USC stuff all the time. It's a great way to connect with us further. We'll be live next week once again and throughout the season. So please drop a like and subscribe. And once again, thank you so much for everyone tuning in, and my co-host Terrence.
Right on.